Monsieur le doyen, monsieur le directeur de l'Institut, dear graduates, students, alumni, colleagues, families, and friends. It is my pleasure to welcome you to the 10th graduation of the MIDS. This year's graduates will remain in the annals of the MIDS as the 10th class of a successful program that has by now reached maturity, not least because of the 9 preceding classes. You will also remain actually in my personal annals because you're the last class for which I bore the responsibility as MIDS director. And as I pass the leadership on to Laurence Boisson-Chazourne, I trust that it will be the new class which has started, and many of them are here today. The new class will be in trusted and able hands. And I also rely very much on my colleagues of the MIDS committee, for whom I thank to be here today. This year went by faster, much faster than anyone could have feared or dreamed. I don't know what your expectations were. And it remains for me to congratulate you before other speakers do, congratulate all the graduates wholeheartedly. Wish you all the best, extend my best wishes for your future, both professional and personal, and assure you that even though your year at the MIDS in Geneva is over now, wherever the life will lead you, you will still remain part of what they call the MIDS family. And now I'm happy to pass the floor to the Dean of the Law School of University of Geneva. Since the MIDS has 2 parent institutions, it has become customary that it is one of the institution's leaders who extends his wishes on behalf of both institutions to the new graduates. Professor Bénédicte Foy, you have the floor.
Ladies and gentlemen, dear students, dear families, dear faculty members, dear staff members, it's a pleasure and an honor to be here today. First, I would like to take this opportunity to say hello to everybody. Hello not only to those of you who are present in this room, but hello also to students and family members who follow this ceremony abroad through the internet. Then I would like to congratulate all of you. You have followed a challenging, interesting, and demanding program with success. I'm sure you enjoyed following this program. I'm sure you had fun taking the classes, reading the assignments, discussing the issues with your professors and with your classmates. But I realize that you had to work and that it was hard work. And to finish the program with success is quite an accomplishment, so my congratulations to each and every one of you. Your class, this class of 2018, is a special one. Indeed, not only do we celebrate this year the 60th anniversary of the New York Convention, as we have seen yesterday, but also, as you know, we celebrate this year the 10th anniversary of the MIDS. So you are about to receive a diploma from a program which is not only world-renowned, but also which enters into its 2nd decade. A program which is thus well established and which has acquired a degree of maturity that is quite respectable. As you know, the MIDS is a joint program of the Graduate Institute and of the University of Geneva. In my capacity as Dean of the Law Faculty, I can certainly say that the Law Faculty is proud of you. But I think it is safe to say that I can vouch for the Graduate Institute and say they are proud of your accomplishment too. In a sense, you are now ambassadors for both institutions wherever your path will lead you. I congratulate you again. I thank you, professors. I thank the staff members, as well as I thank the professor who are director of your program, Professor Gabriel Kaufmann-Kohler and Professor Laurence Boisson de Chazourne. I wish you the best for your future, and I thank you for your kind attention.
Thank you very much, Benedict. And now I would like to pass the floor to Elliot Geisinger. Elliot Geisinger is the president of the Swiss Arbitration Association, a partner in a Geneva law firm, and he will deliver the commencement address. Elliot, you have the floor.
First of all, on behalf of the Swiss Arbitration Association, or ASA, I'd like to extend my congratulations to all of you. You made a choice which was a challenging choice, a choice of excellence. You chose one of the top programs you could choose, but you certainly didn't choose an easy path. You've come to the end of that path successfully, and you really deserve our heartfelt congratulations for that. Now, for my address, I plan to talk to you about pendulums, and at the end, maybe how this might relate to you in the future. Pendulums, Zachary Douglas, when I told him that, he said, "Are you talking about Swiss watchmaking?" No, it's not. It would have been a good idea given the setting, but I'm talking about the pendulums that swing back and forth, the type that we would find in Umberto Eco's Foucault's pendulum, or in a more sinister scenario, that of Edgar Allan Poe's The Pit and the Pendulum. Now, when I started getting interested in arbitration in practice, that was in the early 90s. Back then, arbitration had the wind fully in its sails. It was the darling of legislators worldwide. The New York Convention was continuing to be ratified left, right, and center, and arbitration was being adopted as an alternative and as a better means of dispute resolution in a number of areas where it had not yet forayed hitherto. Things have changed a little bit, you will say. Nowadays, arbitration is often vilified, rightly or wrongly. I would say wrongly in most cases, but that's not the point. Arbitration has come under increased criticism. And let us take the few areas, or let us take the areas where arbitration is a means of resolution of disputes. Commercial arbitration. It has been criticized for having ballooned into something that is expensive, unwieldy, and slow. And to be fair, that criticism is not altogether unjustified. It is something that is indeed a bit slow. It can be expensive. The pace of a commercial arbitration sometimes is dictated not by what would be dictated by sound dispute resolution, but by the agendas of the extremely busy people who are in the room when the procedural calendar is set. And that can include experts, not just arbitrators and lawyers. Why then do we wonder that so many other forms of dispute resolution or simplified forms of arbitration have now sprouted up to rectify these things? And it does exist in terms of, in construction matters, DABs, DRBs or DABs, accelerated procedures in arbitration, emergency arbitrators, etc. Another area, which is what I would call areas of imbalance between two parties, one being manifestly the weaker party. Arbitration was once found to be the ideal method for settling disputes between individuals and corporations in matters such as securities, such as consumer matters or employment matters. I was told just Thursday evening that there is a bill in someone's drawer somewhere in Congress in the United States that would say consumer arbitration and employment consumer disputes and employment disputes will be not arbitrable at all. When it came to the revision of Chapter 12 of the Swiss Act on Private International Law, there were also calls for stronger protection of consumers and employees. In the courts, it's not a matter of course that people can arbitrate freely in these areas. And again, is it so surprising when one sees in certain fields attempts to circumvent the mandatory fora under, for instance, the European regulations in consumer disputes by introducing arbitration agreements? Well, the backlash isn't really difficult to understand. Moving now to sports arbitration. Sports arbitration is something that personally I believe to be an ideal of healthy dispute resolution, or it should have been. A uniform way of resolving disputes rapidly by specialists in simplified procedures in record time. When I say rapidly, it's really rapidly. And also when I say uniform, it means that it is one practice for the whole world, which would be, and is of course, far preferable to the cacophony that would result from letting this be handled by national courts worldwide. In the meantime, sports arbitration has come under heavy criticism. It is viewed unfavorably by more and more courts. Just a short while ago, a court in Belgium declared that arbitration agreements were not always enforceable because of the way they are purportedly entered into currently. We know that next week, the European Court of Human Rights will issue its rulings in Mutu and Pechstein. As for the outcome, your guess is as good as mine. But there again, it is by no means a foregone conclusion that the outcome will be arbitration friendly. There too, what went wrong in the meantime? Was it a perceived imbalance between the IOC and other federations and the athletes? Did the athletes lose all the time? No, they didn't. It didn't matter though. There is this perceived imbalance. And of course, and I'll be very brief on this, you have investor-state arbitration. You will have heard so much about this that I won't bore you with it in a few minutes now. But there again, we have a relatively severe backlash. So when I was talking about pendulums, the pendulum is not moving in the direction it was when I started my practice in arbitration, and it is moving exactly the other way. I said this when I was elected as ASA president in September 2013. That was actually the theme of my acceptance speech. In the meantime, Gary Bourne has also said winter is coming, and now it's here and it's pretty chilly outside. But, and this is my main point, I'm tempted to say, so what? So what? Is any of this unhealthy? Let's just take, for an instance, commercial arbitration. Is it so unhealthy that dissatisfaction has prompted people to find better ways of dealing with certain types of disputes? Faster, more attuned to the needs of each dispute, perhaps closer to the facts on the ground. What's wrong with that? What is wrong with a DRB or DAB? Another criticism that had been leveled at arbitration, commercial arbitration, was that it was an area of law populated only by males, white males with white hair. That was a fair rap. That was a fair rap. Things have changed. A lot remains to be done. When I see the population in this room, I think we're definitely headed in the right direction, but it's also in the hearings I have now, a lot has been done. And there's certainly nothing wrong with that, far from it. In sports arbitration, people are making calls to reform the system. Now, the most recent call came from the IOC saying that the CAS had to be reformed after 4 arbitrators rendered awards against the IOC in a particularly sensitive case in February this year. Well, actually, I see that case, although I do have a duty of reserve here, I see that case as an indication that fundamentally the system is sound. Because if 4 independent-minded professionals decide against the IOC, well, that means the core of what needs to be here is there. But again, things can be improved, and they should be improved. And finally, investor-state arbitration. There's a big debate now, but There are lots of things that are being proposed. One can be in favor or in disagreement with some of them, but there aren't that many people who are saying that we should just return to the good old days of sending people to the courts of the national countries, and if that court issues a ruling against the investor, you can always send a few gunboats up the river to knock some sense into the local government. No one is suggesting that. The discussion is, if we are not satisfied with what we have now, well, let's find something better. Whether that's arbitration or not, and this is my next point, doesn't really matter. Gabrielle Kaufmann-Kohler taught me one thing, because I learned the ropes of the trade with her. I was very lucky. She taught me that arbitration is only a means which has to be at the service of something more important. It is a method of dispute resolution. It is not an end in itself. It is not some kind of totem to which we should all bow. If arbitration were to disappear from the face of this planet tomorrow, provided, and that is of course a big proviso, that it is replaced by something else, I would say, well, good, fine. So I'm being a bit provocative there, but remember always that this is just a means of achieving a goal, which is proper dispute resolution, proper being within a certain time limit, within a reasonable budget, and by people who know what they're talking about. So, like Winston Churchill said, never let a good crisis go to waste. People are speaking of crisis and arbitration right now. I think, as the reports of Mark Twain's death, that is greatly exaggerated. I don't think we're in a crisis. We're just in a movement where we are reassessing the process. And that is something else that Gabrielle Kaufmann-Kohler told me. It was never, ever be comfortable with your ideas. Never, ever be comfortable with what looks like certainties. Always challenge, always cast constructive doubt on what is around you and what you are thinking. Now this brings me to you. You, as I've said, have just completed a course. You are by no means beginners in this, but, and I have to say I envy you a little bit on that, you have the future ahead of you in terms of what you're going to do with arbitration for you, and also what you are going to do with arbitration for arbitration. So if you're going to be the type of person who is never comfortable, who doubts, who accepts that change, constructive change, is a part of life and should be a part of dispute resolution, well then be the itching powder of those people who are not like that. If people are comfortable with their certainties, be the itching powder and let them scratch themselves, let's say, let them scratch their heads in the search of better solutions. Be the yeast that will leaven future debates. Future debates, think ahead. The pendulum swings, be ahead of the pendulum, don't chase behind it. And with this, I wish you a beautiful future in this beautiful area of the law. Thank you.
Thank you, and good afternoon to everyone. It's a pleasure to have you here in the 2017-2018 graduation of the MIDS program. So now we're going to give you your transcripts and your diplomas. I will call out your names, and Professor Zachary Douglas will give you your diploma and your transcript. I will start by calling out the 5 highest ranking students of this batch of the MIDS. And I will do so in reverse order, starting with the 5th highest ranking student and finishing with the 2 highest ranking students. Sorry. And then I will continue with all the rest of you in alphabetical order. Now, I know that not all of you are here, but I know that they are watching us through the live streaming, so I please invite you to congratulate them when I call them in absentia. Some of the 5 highest ranking students have gotten the same exact grade, so I will call you ex aequo. Please come when I call you together. And we will be handing out diplomas and transcripts to those of you that graduate, but also to those of you that continue the MIDS through an internship. You will be receiving your transcript today and the diploma later on. And now with this, I will start calling the 5 highest ranking students of the 2017-2018 batch. The 5th highest ranking student of the 2017-2018 batch is from India, Tanya Singla. The 4th highest ranking student is in absentia from Australia, Bryce Williams. Now I have to say something specific for the 3rd highest ranking student of this batch, and it's that he not only completed the program with outstanding grades, he also completed all the intensive courses. May I please welcome from Greece, Christos Stamatis. Now, the next 2 students have exactly the same grade, so they are both ranked 1st. May I please welcome, in absentia, from India, Artat Kuraka. And from Singapore, Mary Elizabeth Chong. Now I will call you all in alphabetical order. So from Ukraine, Yevgen Boyarsky. From Argentina, Magdalena Bulitgoni. Also from Argentina, Nicolas Caffo. From Guatemala, Rodrigo Castillo de la Cerda. From the Czech Republic, René Sinchala.
Thank you. Thank you.
From France, Romain Collat. In absentia, from Chile and Germany, Sebastian Kolombauer. From Italy, Federico Daniele. From Iran, Vahid Dashti. From Moldova, Sorin Dolea. From Spain, Clara Ferrer. From Ireland, United Kingdom, and France, Rémi Garros-Quinn. From Georgia, Ruslan Gergauli. From India, Onkan Ghosh. From Italy, Lucas Di Narabna. So again from Italy. From Colombia, so now again from Colombia, Juan Camilo Jimenez. In absentia, from France, Stanislas Kaufmann. From India, Siddharth Kaushik. From Russia, Anna Korshunova. From Brazil, Switzerland, and Uruguay, Rafael Lang Silva. From China, Yan Luo. In absentia from Brazil, Valeria Mendes Costaparanos. From Romania, Andrea Nica.
Some things we didn't teach at the MIDS.
From Kenya, John Nyanje.
Thank you very much.
From Colombia, Paula Ramos Arismendi.
Am I getting older or the students getting younger?
From Brazil, Hernández Sampaio Ramos. From Burkina Faso, Hawa Savadogo. In absentia and from India, Ronjaboti Sen. Also in absentia from Greece, Evgenia Stavropoulou. Also from Greece, Ekaterina Stranzali. Also from Greece, Artemis Triki. Again, and also from Greece, Achilleas Toutsis. From Ukraine, Maria Usatenko. From India, Subish Vasudev.
Gracias.
And last but not least, in absentia, from Lithuania, Stasys Zelenekas. With this, I would only like to wish you all the best for your future. May it be as bright as your MIDS year was. And I would now like to welcome to the stage Tania Singla and Juan Camilo Jimenez, who will give the speech on behalf of the 2017-2018 MIDS program.
Good evening, esteemed guests, members of the MIDS committee, MIDS faculty and alumni, proud parents, grandparents, and friends, ladies and gentlemen, and above all, the graduating class of 2018. The first thing we would like to say is simply thank you. It's an honor and a privilege for Juanca and I to address you today on behalf of the class of 2018. But more frankly, it brings an end to weeks of brainstorming and anxiety that we have endured thinking about what we are going to say to you today. And so we do not know if this is going to be what you were expecting. But hey, even if it falls somewhere on the spectrum between disastrous and fantastic, this speech is final and there's nothing you can do about it. Much like ICJ judgments. And to be fair, I think Brian taught us well, much too well, to be fair.
Dear class, we met in Paola's house a little over a year ago, knowing little about each other beyond our names and nationalities. We were all curious, enthusiastic, and in some cases, afraid of Paola's dog, Pandora. In the year that has gone by, so much has changed. It's funny how the city that once sounds like an overpriced paradise now feels like home, and how these people that once were strangers have now become family. On that note, we must formally welcome the newest members of our families, our mini-MIDSes, Rebecca, who was born just a few minutes after GC2 exam, and Damian, who is expected to be born anytime this week. So guys, basically, we didn't only make it to this point altogether. We managed to increase our numbers. That's fantastic.
To many of us, these diplomas represent the achievement of a remarkable milestone and a dream come true. And surely these diplomas look harmless sitting in our folders, but within their four corners are countless number of sleepless nights that we have spent hunched over our laptops, trying to meet clashing deadlines for our assignments and our readings, several rants of frustrations, unbelievable stories with a mix of politically incorrect jokes, parties in the Picciotto Common Room, a lot of laughing as you can see today, and most importantly, the friendship that holds us together. For all of us, the MIDS has been an incredible journey. The curiosity and the enthusiasm that we started out with has given way to strong bonds of friendship, bonds that were forged in extremely difficult circumstances. And some of us even wondered whether we would actually make it here. But we did. And for that, we must sincerely thank Aunkan's Chicken Tikka Masala, Lucas's Lasagnas, Marty's Empanadas, Yun Sushi, and last but not the least, Cheap Co-op Wine. Ladies and gentlemen, even though we took our time, looks like with a little team effort and a lot of food, we got the job done. So here's congratulating all of you for receiving your diplomas today.
We're gonna clap in every paragraph. You guys are clapping in every paragraph, that's amazing. As they say, one class end is another class's beginning. Dear incoming class of 2019, we want you to know what a wonderful year lies ahead of you, full of new challenges and adventures. Bearing in mind that we have walked on the same road that you are now embarking upon, let's us, in all our humble wisdom, give you a few words of advice. Some you might find be more useful than others, but all of them are based on our own experience and are given to you with love.
Number 1, if you are a true seeker of knowledge and you do not think that the tutorial lectures were enough, please go ahead and find Brian and Joseph at the Jazz Improv nights that happen on Tuesday nights. Further information is available on request.
Number 2, someday, if by any chance you're asked to choose who to bet in a fight between an Indian prince from Calcutta and an inflatable unicorn taking place on the turbulent waters of La Jonction, bet on the unicorn without hesitation.
Number 3, think twice before smuggling 5 kilos of chicken from a carrefour in France. You might end up learning your chapter on border measures for your trade law optional course while you're paying a border fine.
It's me, but then it is a trade law exam, so...
It all worked out.
Number 4, always apply the effective nationality test of the ICJ and mistrust the passport as a sole proof of nationality. Because, come on my friend, the world is full of fake Italians.
Number 5, if you're planning to rent a car with friends to attend a moot court in Eastern Europe, bear in mind that common law lawyers might not be well versed with driving in continental Europe. And as our resident common law lawyer would say, let's just park that issue for a while. Now, if only he had done that for the car.
Number 6, if you guys happen to fall for a woman, especially a Spanish woman, during your time at the MIDS, please know that you will not win her heart with poems, flowers, or chocolates. Her love can only be won with this short shot strategy. Bring 1 eggplant every day for a whole week and leave it for her at the administration office of Pichotto. For details, you may contact Nicola. Well, we have told you all about the fun side. Let's cross over to the dark side.
Number 7, this year is going to be intense. You are going to face the pressure of clashing deadlines, voluminous readings, and writing your internship applications. But remember that no matter how crazy things get, you can always get by with a little help from your friends. Look around you. The people sitting on your left and your right are the ones who are going to understand exactly what you're feeling. And as cliched as it may sound, each of you brings something brilliant to this table. Avoid fearlessly competing against each other because that will only bring you frustration. If MIDS has taught us anything, it is that here you will meet people who will inspire you to become the best version of yourself, personally and professionally. Make the most of it and help out each other every time you can. Imagine your chances of success if at the end of this year you leave the MIDS with 37 allies for life as opposed to 37 foes.
Number 8, we are still scarred from our thesis submissions, so we have calculated. Starting from tomorrow onwards, you have exactly 309 days until your thesis deadline submission, which is more than enough time to do everything you want to. You can dabble in a foreign language, and who knows, you might become so fluent that someday you will start laughing in that language on WhatsApp, as Schuberto does. You can celebrate Diwali, Christmas, the Chinese New Year, the Persian New Year together, and sometimes you can celebrate without any reason at all. No matter what you do, be aware of every minute that you spend here, because at the MIDS, the time passes simply too fast. One day you will be learning about access to the ICJ, and another day you will find yourselves actually climbing the steps of the Peace Palace to meet with the Vice President of the ICJ. you will see Paris in fall and come back to witness the beauty of Villamonier in winter. And you will love the spring with all the barbecues by the lake and feel the summer like jumping off a bridge in La Jonction. And before you know it, you will be giving this address next year. So no matter how many excuses tempt you along the way, don't let the intensity of the MIDS curriculum detract you from the beauty of the MIDS experience. Seize every minute and leave the MIDS a better person that you came in, because you can.
Number 9, finally, we want you to know that the MIDS is much more than a study program. It is a legacy that was painstakingly built over a period of 10 years. And more importantly, it is a community that you are now a part of. And there is something we would like you to know. Help will always be given at the MIDS to those who ask for it. And Diego will remind you several times over the course of this year, but you can always reach out to your seniors if and when you think you could use some help. And in return, we only ask what others before you and I have asked of us. As and when you make your way to the top, remember to send the elevator down for those who come after you. Well, this is our cue to shift our attention. And we would like to say that even though these diplomas we are holding today bear our names, we know we would have never made it this far without some very important people.
First and foremost, we are deeply grateful to our families, for their unwavering love and support, and for believing in us even when we were losing faith in ourselves. To the MIDS faculty, Professor Gabriel Kaufman-Koller, Professor Laurence Bosson-Chasseur, Professor Zachary Douglas, and Professor Marcelo Cohen. We would like to thank you for teaching us to question the status quo, for sharing your war stories, and for reminding us why we start doing what we're doing in the first place.
Dear Brian and Joseph, the dulcet tones of McGarry and Ostransky have serenaded us through not just one, but 2 full semesters of knowledge. Thank you so much for keeping your sense of humor during the tutorials and outside them for your patience and your friendship. You are both brilliant and humble, and it's a combination that's scarcely found in a world of young lawyers.
Dear Evie and Mariona, we know that you had a lot on your plate, and how you managed to hold the program together continues to amaze us. Thank you for your open door policy and for letting us know that for us, we always came first.
Dear Diego, you had faith in us, even though some of us did terribly in mock interviews, and I mean terribly. But you helped us see the strength in our resumes and our personalities, and tirelessly worked with us before and after every interview. Thank you for making us look as good in real life as we do on paper, and we couldn't have done it without you. To be honest, we couldn't have done it without all of you. So could we please have another huge round of applause for all the people that we have named?
Life is all about change, and the world of arbitration and the classrooms or the MIDS are no exception. But today it feels like the end of an era. Professor Kaufman-Koller, we would like to say a few words to you, as your students while you're wearing our professor hat still.
We do not know if you remember, but on our very first day, you walked up to some of us with a big smile and you said, "Hello, my name is Gabrielle. How are you doing today?" All of us in the room already knew who you were. And so you can imagine why that came as a huge surprise. But that day, you taught us what was perhaps our most important lesson at the MIDS: humility and mutual respect.
As we sat in your classes Monday after Monday, it soon became evident that you teach with your heart as much as with your mind. And over the course of this year, you gave us someone to look up to, someone to look forward to, and someone to emulate, which might probably explain why more than half of this batch decided to do their thesis under your supervision. Thank you, and sorry.
So we are deeply grateful to you for welcoming us into your classroom and your home, and for pushing us to be the best lawyers that we can be. As they say, a good teacher explains, a superior teacher demonstrates, but a great teacher inspires. With your dedication, wisdom, and integrity, you have truly inspired all of us. And on that note, could we please have a huge round of applause for Professor Gabrielle Kaufman-Kohler. We would also like to congratulate Professor Laurence Bosson de Chazon, because she will now be taking over the reins as the new MIDS director.
Now, coming back to our beloved batch, we wish you all great success and profound happiness in all your future endeavors. Even though our paths separate today, we hope that we will run into each other soon again, grab a drink or two, and remember our time in Geneva as one of the best years of our life. With that, ladies and gentlemen, this is the MIDS batch of 2018 signing off.
Congratulations, class of 2018. And Hilda, we wish you a very happy birthday.
Dear students, dear colleagues, and dear Gabrielle. I can call Gabrielle Gabrielle, even if I called her Professor Kaufman-Kohler during the classes. It's a special day for you. It's also a very special day for me, because we have taught with Gabrielle for 10 years together. We gave the general course one, and know that you were more attracted to arbitration and so on, and I had to work a lot on the public international side. But then we had common classes with Gabrielle, and it was quite interesting to see that everything would go together, the private and the public. So I speak to the new promotion. It's going to be a challenge, but it's going to be interesting. As Professor Kaufman-Kohler said, it's a mature program. We've celebrated the 10th anniversary of this program. And I'm very grateful to Gabrielle, because she has left this program in such a good order that she's made my task very easy. And I know that I have the support of Zachary Douglas and Marcelo Cohen and Thomas Schulz, who is not here today. And we will continue. And you know that Professor Kaufman-Kohler is going to be the president of the Council on Dispute Settlement. So we will have her with us. We will also have Professor Kaufman-Kohler teaching an intensive course, and I'm sure that all of you are going to run in this class. So it's the 10th anniversary. It's a very special time, and we've decided that this promotion will be named the Promotion Gabrielle Kaufman-Kohler. as the Dean of the Law Faculty has said, you are now ambassadors of this program. And we want you to be ambassadors of the Graduate Institute of International Studies, of the University of Geneva, and of the MIDS. And remember the MIDS community, as I said yesterday, MISD, and S stands for solidarity. So we count on you for giving us your insights, your initiatives, and we very much hope that we will see you quite often, and you will be back in Geneva and contribute and participate to the conferences we're going to organize. So good luck. It's an important time for you. We will have now an official picture outside of this room with all the professors, so I invite you outside of this room. Good luck.